Greetings, this is Boiler Dan 1, and welcome to part 13 of my building the Black Pearl Golden Edition in 2026. There's some things I want to review that I've discovered. In a recent episode, I documented where I had completed the little lifeboat, and I used the regular size planks for the hull. Well, I just didn't look close enough. In the plastic bin of parts, there are miniature planks for the lifeboat. So if you want to do that, it would be a lot easier and probably more size appropriate. I may go ahead and double plank it and plank over that. I haven't decided yet. It looks pretty good the way it is, so we'll see. I finished making my own version of a cat head, and I engraved a little skull on that just for a very subtle effect. In between each of the cannons, I put a rack of cannonballs, and they're pretty much appropriately sized. I found these little beads on a necklace at a Hobby Lobby store, so I just clipped the little wires that held them together. I've got a good start on the rigging lanyards on the dead eyes. Not perfect, but I'm not a perfectionist. You can see the rat lines that are started. I've got the masts all positioned. I do have them tied in place to help maintain the vertical positioning so I don't end up with a crooked mast somewhere. I made a little lantern. I set it on top of the main mast. I did take a little bit of black paint and cover it over the lens, and what I used as the glass part is a piece of a plastic straw. You can see she's coming along pretty well. I'm happy with everything. I'll do some more tweaking as the build continues. As far as the masks go, only the lower ones I've concentrated on being straight. These upper ones I will be able to straighten out as I get up to tie the rigging lines that go to those. So let me go into a little bit more detail in some of the areas that I showed you briefly. I'm going to show just one example of how to make the yard arms. I'll pick this one here. It's 240 millimeters long, and here is the measurement of the dowel you want to use. It's a 6 millimeter. Then when you go out to the ends, it shows 2 more dimensions, and this is where you'll taper down, and this one is tapered down to 3 at that point, and then at the end it goes down to 2.5, and I'll show you what that is. You will do that on both sides. Let me show you how I taper both the masts and these yard arms. First step is to identify the proper dowel, and I've got a measuring device. These will not be exact, like this measures 5.93, so you're not going to get exactly 6 millimeters. Then next step is to measure and cut, which I've already done that. For tapering, I use my full-size belt sander. What I will be doing is lightly pushing down with my hand and then twisting this so it rolls to try and keep it symmetrical. I will stop from time to time to measure. The other thing I want to mention is I go a little just short of halfway, but I'm not sanding on this part. I'm kind of putting a slight tilt that direction so that it tapers. I know that you probably realize that, but I thought I should just mention it. I have this so it just slightly pokes through, and now I'll repeat it on the other side. I have both those tapered to the point that I want, and now we'll go to the next step. Next step, I'm going to make a mark at the 5 millimeter all the way around. Do that on both ends. Next, I'm going to score that, and I'm going to rotate it. Try to keep the blade straight on that line. Once it's scored, I'm going to kind of slice at an angle and take little chunks out. So if you do it just right, those will just slide right off. Ultimately, what you're making looks like a little oar handle. You can take a triangular file and shape those. I'm lazy, so I use my miniature belt sander, and I'll just very gently sand that off. Now you can kind of see the shape that I made there, and I will do the same thing on the other end, as well as every other yard arm. Here it is, both ends finished. And at some point I may mark the center mark. I may drill a hole just to put a pin through to help maintain its position on the mast. I noticed on the blueprints for the ship how they were tying single blocks. I decided I would give it a try, and it's working out better than I thought it would. I'll just make one so you can see what I'm talking about. I do wax my rope work before I use it, so that's been done. Took a pair of clamping scissors, clamped one of the handles in the vise, and then I can use the other to hold this. I'm just going to twist so that it makes approximately 4 revolutions. Put in my clamping scissors. I'm just going to punch that through the opening. Kind of just pull it snug. Then take the longer, and I'm going to push down that spiral of thread. I'm actually pulling pretty hard. And then a little bit of adhesive of your choice. Used to always use CA glue, but I'm just trying some other things. Once that dries, I'll cut that little tag off. Here's 3 or 4 of them that are done. And it's a nice, clean knot, and it is strong. It's not pulling loose at all. So I'm going to give it a try. That's fairly easy to make. Once I have the yard arms done, shaped, stained, and then I made several of the single blocks, I will set all that aside and start putting the masts in position. All these white ropes are temporary, just tying the mast to try and hold it straight with the ship. It can tilt back towards the back just a slight amount. I don't know that it is, but I did secure it so it won't go forward. I'll do that with all the masts as I work on each one. I'm using this as a guide for my shrouds. I think that's what they're called, shroud lines, before I tie the climbing ropes or rat lines. This will give you an idea of what I'm going for. So this will be the very first line. It'll take care of the first 2 dead eyes. Then I'll flop over to the other side and do that loop. In addition, I'm going to add this little wooden piece that the ropes will go right through a small hole, and you can see then that kind of combines with this. That will help me keep these shroud lines separate, and I'll know which ones go where. The other option would be to mark them each one now, but I think this will hold it in place. Here these are in place, and you can see how that's going to help me identify which line goes where. To aid in getting these ropes through any holes, I use this jewelry making tool. It's a small needling device, I guess you could say. And it will make it so I can just slide that right through. It's a little tight, but it does work. And the alternating going back and forth is working very well. This definitely will help me be able to stay in the proper order as far as where these lines go down to the dead eyes. I'm glad I realized that that should be put on early in the process to help get the dead eyes kind of at the same uh, separation, which I'm not great at it yet. I keep working at it. You can see mine are not exact. I saw this where you take and just put two small nails opposite directions, line it up so that it matches the holes and then put dead eye on one side and put this piece in the other dead eye. That gives me a consistent starting point. I do not normally do the one in the center. I had made an error. I'm not even going to go into it. I corrected it. So that's why it's the last one. And I'm trying something different on connecting. Instead of tying knots, I'm using some jewelry making equipment. And I just slide this little brass sleeve on there. And I will take this down to the dead eye. Once you get it looped around the dead eye, and you know you have the space correct, you can take this off. And this is what I'm doing that is different. Instead of trying to tie this knot, I have this jewelry making a little brass tube, and I will crimp it on there. And then I'll be ready to tie that off. I was looking online, and there are several people that start on the left side and work to the right and do some crazy looping that you don't have to do. On the first one, there are various ways you could tie this off, but I just do the very first one in a square knot. And if you start with the first part, the short end, away from you, and then if you want, you can put a little dot of CA glue there. And when you do the second half of the square knot, now your longer string will be in the correct direction. You're going to go through and then go under the rope that you just inserted. Now you're going to go over, come back through, and through the hole. Then this will become very strong. I can grab on this side and pull to the left very hard, and it will not pull this rope over. It's an amazing thing. You can kind of shape it, squeeze it a little. This is pre-waxed line that I'm using. Let me repeat. You're going under, now you're going over, around, and through that hole. Now you're going to start cinching it tight. Go on the edge of it, pull it as snug as you can get it. Kind of line them up as you're going as far as whatever distance you want. This is a pirate ship. I'm not going to be exact where they go. Under, over, around, and through. Inch it tighter. You can pull on both ends if you want to make this in a little baggie. Technically, if you've ever looked at a real ship, these are all saggy. Again, I'm going under, makes that loop. Now I'm going over, around, and through, and that makes a same kind of loop up above. See that, like figure 8? Pull tight. Under, over, around, and through. On this last one, I've seen people tie different kinds of knots. I just do the same thing. Under, over, oops, around and through. And then just come back. It's important on the outside ones, the two outside ends, that you do get some CA glue on it. You can tap these other ones if you want them to stay in place. A clove hitch can come loose a little bit. It's fine with me if there's a little knot looking thing on there. I've discovered something that when you cinch this knot up tight, instead of pulling over to the side, pull straight out towards you. And for some reason, I'm pulling really hard. It really makes a nice tight hitch knot. That's it for part 13 of my building the Black Pearl. I appreciate those of you that stuck around and watched the entire 15+ minute segment. This is Boiler Dan 1. As always, thanks for watching.